Welcome back to the Captain's Quadrant. I'm Joe Dove. Joined with me, as always, my co-host Jason Roy Gaston, and our special guest from the Scarif Podcast from the Red 5 Network, Ro. Welcome to this episode of the Captain's Quadrant. It is Shades of Grey, not 50 Shades of Grey, but Shades of Grey. And this was
I hate to say it, it would have been better if it was.
Yeah. Right. This was the yeah. This is the first time I had seen this episode in a long time. And when I say a long time, I'm talking I would always skip this on the rewatch. So we're talking about 20 years.
What season was it?
Season 2.
Season 2, episode 22. Yeah. Yeah.
The season 2 finale.
Really?
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah. This was the finale. Yeah. This was Diana Muldaur's last appearance as Dr. Pulaski too.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did a little behind the scenes reading about this episode, but yeah, it was an interesting one.
Yeah. Yeah, this was interesting indeed, and cheaply made, might I add.
Yes, right.
Yes.
That was the mandate from the suits on the top floor. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us have Jason talk about the synopsis in his own words.
Well, to do the synopsis, I would need clips of my earlier synopsis, but here we go. Riker is stuck by a thorn and has dreams. The end.
Has dreams about other episodes.
Directed by Ryan Johnson.
Welcome to the season finale of season 2.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's get into it. WTF did we just watch?
Now that's an episode. Why didn't we watch that one?
That one's a great episode, but it's not an agony booth. That's an ecstasy booth.
Right. Yeah.
And that happens to be one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek. But this is far from it. Jason Roy Gaston, you can start us off. What the F did we just watch?
We watched an attempt by Paramount to save money because Q Who, the episode that first introduced the Borg, went way over budget. And so they had to figure out what they were going to do. They did not have the budget to do a big season finale. And so, as with most things of the 1980s, when you don't have money, you do a clip show.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the infamous Star Trek clip show. So what we're watching is Paramount closing the purse and saying no.
That's
what the F we just watched.
Yeah. Ro from the Scarif Podcast.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a while since I had seen that. From time to time I do a Star Trek rewatch. But one of the Star Treks that I usually come back to time and time again is the original series. Just something about, Kirk, Spock, and Bones doing their thing. It's like comfort food, it's like mac and cheese. It's like cornbread. You know what I mean? Every so often, I'll go back to one of the Star Treks. Yeah. No, just get a little cornbread there, but
yeah, everybody.
Yeah, so I was watching it, and it's funny because I don't remember it. It's too far back in the in the series. And I remember, I think what was the first clip that they used was basically Encounter at Farpoint when Riker was looking for Data.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I'm like, oh wow, did they shave him? Shave his facial hair, Riker's facial hair to shoot the scene? Because I obviously, it's been a while, so I didn't remember like how it went. But then I realized I'm like, oh, they're using clips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was an easy shoot. I mean, coming from the production world, it's like, lie on the table and let's poke and prod you, and then we'll just edit stuff around you.
Yeah, so easy to make. It was A disaster. I did find it funny that basically Riker, like they had this great joke that they could have used. Like Picard should have come in and said, "Ha, looks like someone penetrated you for a change." But of course they didn't go that because it's a family show.
Right.
But it is kind of funny, like the guy that even in his memories was poking around the universe, got poked and got really messed up for it. So would you consider this a space STD? Because that thing was a sentient being.
Sure.
Yeah. Jason?
Definitely.
I don't know if I would consider it a space STD, but considering that whenever they found out that the microbes were responding to Riker's memories, and they start triggering Riker's passionate, erotic memories, and it started like growing faster, it's a time when Riker's horniness actually did almost kill him.
Yeah. There you go. So technically it's an STD. The more pleasure you seek in your mind, the more ruined your body will be with this disgusting thing. I also found it very odd that they send Geordi back down. It's like, sure, Geordi knows where the thing is, but Data for sure will survive, whereas Geordi might be in the next bed next to Riker.
Yeah.
You know, it just didn't make a lot of sense. It was a very jumbled episode, even though it was
oh my
clip
god,
show.
all of Geordi's memories would be nothing but loneliness.
A holodeck, lots of holodeck. And his mom. We found out about his mom. It was not like that. Not like that. No, not like that. Not like that.
Maybe his mom on the holodeck?
Oh, Oedipus. We're going to say quick hello to our friend Damon J. Hello, friends. Scarif to the final frontier.
Where no scuttlebutt has scuttlebutt before.
Indeed. The joys of early TNG episodes. Yes. Ugh, the pain. Now, I thought this is the time when things got better because Riker has grown his beard and is infamous to be knowing Star Trek Next Generation as the superior episodes of when Riker's fully bearded. And this one actually torpedoed that instance because this was legit a clip show.
And it's so weird that it was a season finale.
Yeah.
It's like, how much of a downer can it be? I mean, you know, you think of season finales for Star Trek The Next Generation. Obviously, the one that people go to is the Borg, Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and 2. But yeah, this one was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah. And it dragged on so long for like a clip show. Even like you figure, okay, if we're gonna do a clip show, we're gonna get some highlights of the really cool stuff. We got rehashing the death of Tasha Yar,
right,
and then rehashing him hanging out on the Klingon ship. No information of him and his infamous fire. You know, he had that presence when he was commanding the ship, but just boringness. It was nothing. Most of it was.
And the editing kept going faster and faster. It's like, oh, let's go back to that episode. Let's do another clip.
Right.
Yeah,
it was very choppy, very sloppy. And I'm wondering if there was, behind the scenes, were they legit considering canceling the show? Is that why we got such a sloppy ending of the second season? Jason? Yeah? Oh, was the cancellation doom?
Yeah, I feel like it would have been too early. I think most of those shows are.
I know the specter of cancellation was always kind of on this show, but I don't know if it was a thing here. I think they knew that they were going to get a third season, and they just wanted this season to come in under budget.
Be over.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay on my end, so if I interrupt anybody, it's not on purpose.
No, we understand.
Gotcha.
That's cool. The thing that always bugged me about season 2 was obviously the non-usage of Dr. Crusher, and the first time we're seeing that flashback of Armus, the blob monster,
right? The oil monster.
The oil monster. They legit cut out. If you pay attention, the clip that they're showing you, they literally cropped her out, and I'm like, geez, you don't even want to give her like secular credit, like. God, was it that bad? And then they had no choice to I'm surprised they didn't blur her out when she ran across in the background. He was like, maybe they'll blur her out, or But yeah, that was some really tough times for Trek.
Mhm.
And of course, bringing Beverly back made the show much better. And season 3 on, I think, was just phenomenal. Prime TV at the time. I remember being glued to it. What was the? We got a question for you, Ro.
Hmm.
What was Ro's first Trek movie he watched?
I've, my background might say Star Wars, but I have also been a Star Trek fan. So I started from the beginning. The motion
Ooh.
picture is actually one of my favorite, like purely science fiction type stories. Penned by Alan Dean Foster, who was also familiar to us Star Wars fans. Robert Weiss, masterfully directed. Motion picture. Love it.
Yeah, it's a great film.
I in Chicago years ago when Undiscovered Country premiered, we did a press tour, but we got tickets to go see all 5 of them, including the 6th one, at an event here in Chicago called Sit Long and Prosper. It was awesome.
That's clever.
Yeah,
That's
all
clever
6
marketing.
movies. Yeah,
clever marketing. What was your favorite of the Star Trek movies?
well, it's got to be Wrath of Khan.
Oh,
Like everybody's, right?
I mean, I always go back and forth with 6.
Yeah, it's 2 and 6. I mean, same director.
Yeah.
Obviously, a favorite of folks, but I think Undiscovered Country, man, is so I almost equate it to The Empire Strikes Back because it's done in a way that it's not like a Star Trek fan directing a movie or writing a movie. Similar to The Empire Strikes Back, Irving Kershner was not a Star Wars guy. He was just a good director that dealt with characters. And I think that's one of the reasons The Empire Strikes Back is so revered. Same with Undiscovered Country. And then you've got, Christopher Plummer.
Oof.
I mean,
what acting?
Forget about it, man.
Man, he killed that role.
Top notch casting. Yeah. So, yeah.
Some people are wondering, why would they invite a Star Wars guy on Star Trek? Well, you and I,
Who's wondering that?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody is. Well, there's 2 reasons. Number 1, you're a cool guy. We've gotten acquainted via the Twitters, and I'm still going to deadpan that.
Oh yeah.
And it turns out that you, as you have heard in the earlier moments of this conversation, you do have a love of Trek as well, and we a love of Star Trek. So much so that at the end of this episode, we're announcing a special interview that we did that'll be coming out this Tuesday with someone behind the scenes of Star Wars.
Woo!
Woo! Yes, it all comes together. Star Wars and Star Trek, like a futuristic alliance. Yes, it's where it needed to be. Together.
Excellent.
My
very
friend.
nice, very nice. But yeah,
all right, let's continue.
I call Star Trek the other white meat.
Yes, the other white meat. All right, we're gonna hop into why would they do that? Yes. Why, oh, why would they do that? I'm going to toss it off to Jason Roy Gaston. Why would they do this episode like this?
Well, as I said, they did this as a combination of we're just coming off the writer's strike and we need to save money. I mean, it's the clip show. The clip shows, in my opinion, never work. I've seen 2 clip shows in my entire life that I thought were actually worth watching. One was done by this very little known television show called Marblehead Manor, and their clip show was their very first episode. They were flashing back to things that, they were pretending basically their show had been on the air for 20 years. And they were flashing back like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, talking about these things that they did. And it was hysterical. And I didn't get the joke at first because I'd never heard of this show. So I just thought, oh, okay, the show's been on for a while. And then after a while, I'm like, oh, okay. And that was their pilot episode. And I thought, that is so ballsy. It didn't work out for them because nobody knows what that show is now. The other one that I saw that worked was Clerks, the animated series. And they did their clip show in the 2nd episode and kept showing clips from the 1st episode. And it was just funny, just watching them flash back to the first episode and just, and it was just the same couple of clips over and over and over again. I kind of see that similarly to what Star Trek The Next Generation did here, except all they had to flash back to were some of the worst Star Trek we've ever seen, ever.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you flash back to?
Right.
There's
because that first season was rough, except for
nothing. There's some good episodes in season 2, but they kept pulling from just the absolute garbage. I think we're synced up again. I think I'm hearing you in real time now, so that's good.
Yeah.
I don't sound like an idiot. Apparently, I do sound like an idiot.
No. Continue.
The delay is not that bad, though.
No, it's fine. So yes, Ro.
That was it. That's all I have to say.
All right, Ro, sir, take it away. Why would they do that?
Yeah, I mean, again, doing a little research. Jason mentions the bean counters. Try to, what was the mandate was, we don't have any money, but we have all these episodes that we did, months back. So use some of that and get some fancy editing going and make an episode. Rather odd for a season finale, as I mentioned, because obviously you want to leave the audience wanting more. And this one was like, geez, when will this end? Got a little choppy at the end, but it was definitely a head scratcher when it comes to Star Trek. Who knows?
Yeah, our friend My Figure Universe joins in. Clip shows are evil. Yes, indeed, they are terrible ways to progress nothing, because you're looking back at stuff that really nobody cared about because it's from the first season. Though it was nice to see the conspiracy bugs come back. That infamous duel with the Badmiral, who is infested by the conspiracy bugs, where you can see the kung fu mastery of somehow Riker could get both of his feet up and kick the guy in the face. And then the amazing editing of, okay, here comes the Badmiral, and then there's a stunt double, and you can clearly see his face. Is not that guy.
But isn't Star Trek doesn't that kind of switcheroo, isn't that like part of Star Trek? Like you look at the TOS, and you've got Kirk and Khan fighting in the engine room, and in the wide shots, I'm like, it's not even them.
I don't know. Ricardo Montalban could throw down. I'm pretty sure he probably did this.
Have you seen his chest?
Yeah, his chest was epic. So for sure, it was probably him throwing down. We got our friend Jack. It was fresh trash, hot. I'm sure he means hell. Yeah, this was like that dumpster fire going down a river.
Yeah,
type of terrible. The one redeeming feature about this though is the big. Oh well, we'll get into that in redeeming features. Indeed. The one redeeming feature of this is a sentimental redeeming feature. Yes, there is one, despite what you guys all say, and that is the deep connection that we get with Emsadi, with Diana with Troy.
Deanna Troy.
Deanna Troy is getting really close, and we get this super connection in the first attempts. However, it gets ruined because all of the first attempts to try to bring them together and their relationship goes to everybody else he banged in the universe, including Captain Janeway, I believe. The holodeck Janeway, which was, I think, the first time Kate Mulgrew, or the woman looked like Janeway to me. I don't think she actually was Janeway. But that hot romance that he had with the holodeck when the binars were on. Do you remember?
Minuet?
Yeah, Minuet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that was her.
No, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. But I always thought in my mind,
no.
It's like, oh, that looks a lot like Janeway, but it wasn't.
I was just thinking he banged Janeway. He was only on Voyager for like 4 minutes, and it was in front of witnesses. When did he have time? I'm not saying he couldn't. I'm just saying, when did he have time?
Riker's quite talented.
Yeah,
I know.
And
well, he likes it when people watches. He needs the applause.
Yeah. I mean, he transcends gender. He will go with it all. He doesn't matter.
As long as
Well,
it
you know
has a
what they
pulse.
say. If you put Riker and Kirk in the same room with a futon, who would be on top?
The futon.
It'd be that wild, yeah.
Yeah, that's true for sure. But for sure, this was such an odd episode to do a whole way of rehashing everything. But I got to ask you guys, what is the redeeming feature? We're going to start with Ro.
Oh man, the redeeming feature, that it was Dr. Pulaski's last episode.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I was watching and I you know, sometimes I forget about that character, and sometimes I forget that the actress was in the original series too, which is kind
Yeah.
of cool. You know,
Right.
having her come back to Star Trek. But one of the things that annoyed me really about the episode was the way that contraption was designed, with the buttons on the side that were like this way, and then they were also on the bar on the bar that went down, and it was just a bad design. And I know this has nothing to do with redeeming features, but it's just like in the forefront of my head right now, my brain. When she was pushing the buttons, like it was such a weird way to initiate functionality to that medical machine, to have it be like behind them on the side. It was just so weird. But I'm going to have to agree with My Figure Universe. The redeeming feature were the ending credits.
Oh no. Yeah, one of the things that he said earlier, typically I try to rewatch an episode you guys are going to cover, but I couldn't do that to myself this time. We understand. We understand. I watched it over and I suffered through it. And then I've got 2 sick kids with me and they suffered through it too. So everybody suffered through this episode this week in the Dove house. When doves cry. That's what happened this week. All right, Mr. Jason Roy Gaston, what are your redeeming features?
Well, I mean, my redeeming feature, and this is going to sound so strange. Whenever I was younger, I went to a science museum and I watched a short film about insects, and you followed 2 instincts. It's 2 insects. One was a praying mantis and the other was a caterpillar that becomes a butterfly, right? And it's cute and funny and everything, and it's like real insects, you know, the narrator's describing what's happening to them. And I just remember the nature film ended with the praying mantis grabbing the butterfly and eating it alive.
Oh my God.
This poor creature that we've been watching and getting attached to during this whole science film just gets devoured right in front of us. And I know that's a weird thing to bring up, but the nature film said, don't hate the praying mantis. It's just what the praying mantis is. It's not good. It's not evil. It's not bad. It's just a praying mantis. This episode is not good. It's not bad. It's not evil. It's just a clip show. And I think that if you can look at a redeeming feature, that would be it, is that it's just what it is. It was a cost-saving clip show. Nobody wanted to do this episode. Nobody wanted to write this episode. Nobody wanted to star in this episode. This episode was created even though this episode did not want to exist. It was created out of pure budgetary necessity. So if I had to come up with any kind of redeeming feature, unlike Threshold, unlike Move Along Home, unlike Prophet and Lace, all these legendarily bad episodes, there was no intention behind it. Nobody set out to rewrite Trek canon. Nobody set out to, I'm going to stroke my ego by rewriting the warp scale. I'm going to show my love of hippies by having them sing with Mr. Spock. There was none of that. It was, this is what we have to do. I'm sorry. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. So that's my redeeming feature, is that Shades of Grey exists. And I know that's weird. It is just, it exists because it had to, but it didn't want to.
Now, did you guys know that this is the lowest rated episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
Not surprised.
Really?
Yes.
He said sarcastically.
3.3 out of 10.
That is surprisingly generous. That means 3.1. That means that there was more than one person who rated it over a 3, which is amazing in my opinion.
Wow. Yeah, I was actually legit surprised because there's a lot of people that make a lot of fan fiction, including Riker, and then they can make their own 50 Shades of Grey in this one with him, especially with that device. All right, Riker, put me in the device. You know what I mean? Like, you would figure at least there's that, but there's not even that. It's just so weird and so.
I got your Imzadi right here, pal.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, indeed, rated lower than Sub Rosa, the bottom of the barrel. Crazy. What is sad is more people liked Cone of Honor than this. Yep, that is definitely sad and unbelievable. But we are going to spin our wheel of agony. Yes, we are spinning the wheel, and we are going to get all of the goodies spinning. All right, so we replaced the
Hot Daddy Worf.
Yeah, we got Hot Daddy Worf. We replaced the this episode with the Sanctuary, and of course, we have another thing. We have an episode that's not really terrible, but I'm not a fan of, and that's called The Inner Light. That's probably Jason's Ecstasy Moves. I'm not a fan of that one.
That's just because you're wrong.
I'm not wrong. It's just like so sleepy. I legit fell asleep the last 2 times I went to see it.
It has such an impact on Picard's life, though.
Does it though? He
does
take that flute. Yeah,
he learned how to make a flute.
Yeah,
so he can go to engineering and look at Beverly and go, this one time at band camp. You want to know where I stuck the flute? Oh my!
Also, this episode will air next month. We are going to be going into the wormholes at the end of the month, and then next week we're going to have a very special guest again, and that special guest is Derek Otto. He is the writer of the Captain Sisko autobiography. And
you invited a guest to watch Benji, Zach, and the Alien Prince.
No. The 31st is when we're going to watch Benji and Zach. Next week is the 24th. We're going to talk about Section 31 movie. We're going to be at the movie.
Okay. I was going to say, what did this poor guy ever do to us?
All right. Well, let's spin the wheel and let's see what we're going to get. Any hopefuls, Jason?
Not really. No, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure whatever it is, it's going to be interesting. Let's see.
Bro, anything you would want to watch?
No, I'll watch anything.
Oh, okay. There we go. Well, 5.
Well, he watched this with us.
3. Yeah. He suffered through this one. 1.
I'll watch anything.
When the bow breaks, a planet that was able to cloak itself for thousands of years suddenly reveals itself with its inhabitants proposing peace, but after initial negotiations, child of the Enterprise are kidnapped due to the infertility of the inhabitants. Who wrote this? It's awful.
That was our...
Was that Agamos again?
Yeah, it was Agamos.
Wait, a planet that was able to cloak itself? Is that At-Atten?
Yeah, At-Atten. I never heard of no At-Atten.
I haven't seen, although don't spoil me, I haven't seen them all. Oh my gosh. I remember this one. This is the one where the aliens are like, hey, can we buy some of your kids? We don't sell our children. What about the boy? Can we have the boy? I don't know. Beverly, how much do you want for the boy? Jean-Luc, I'm surprised at you. 20 bars of latinum.
Oh, man.
We'll give you 5. Sold.
What an after. All right, aftermath, friends.
We were just talking about you. Everybody hates you. Congratulations.
Well, we'll be talking about a little bit more about that in a minute, but I don't remember this episode. So this is a brand new one.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
It's one of those episodes that's like, look at how progressive we are. We have children on the Enterprise, and the episode is all about how the children are put in danger. Even the aliens call out the Enterprise like, "You're bringing children out here? What is wrong with you?" So I think that, of course, because we're very attached to our children. We like our families nearby. I hate children personally, but the other people seem to be quite fond of them. This episode was supposed to be all about how tight the bonds are between parents and children, but it ended up having the absolute opposite effect and just showed how irresponsible it was to bring children to a place where there are Borgs and Klingons and Romulans and Jim Hadars and butt bugs and things like that.
Yeah, I don't remember this one at all.
Jim Hadar, I don't remember them being
really boring. It's very boring.
There's a lot of danger in space. Make sure you bring your kids.
Yeah.
Got to make sacrifices.
All the children have been ejected into space, Captain.
Not
Why
again.
is that button even here? I just thought it was funny that was the Janeway maneuver on lower decks, is to eject all the children into space.
Janeway was murking people throughout the universe. That is for sure.
She did it out of necessity. It's not like she was going around, just walking through the corridors with Tuvok behind her going, "Kill him," and Tuvok just walks off with a phaser.
Though it felt like that. Delete the wife.
Delete the wife.
All right. Well, we recognize our dear friend from the Scarif Podcast, Ro, and this is his opportunity to talk about his wonderful podcast and tell all the folks here, the Captain's Quadrant, what you're all up to.
Yeah, well, obviously we talk about Star Wars a little of this and a little of that. The galaxy far, far away, a little farther than the Alpha Quadrant there, but you know what? We like to do some deep dives
Nice.
with subjects like the Force and the dark side and Yoda's do or do not. There is no try. So we tend to get a little philosophical, but we also like to have fun and talk about anything sci-fi, anything whatever the nerds are talking about. Movies, books, comics, whatever. We have fun doing it. We have our takes. We don't look down on other people's opinions, but we'll let you know when you're wrong.
Now, I know that the Star Wars universe is kind of fractured after Last Jedi and the prequels. Is just a little bit. What's your take on the Disney verse, so to speak?
They're trying. They're trying. I think it's a really great question. And it's a question that, if you ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. I think, George Lucas did something fantastic in the 70s by creating this world, this universe. But I think a lot of times, some of the new creatives on these Star Wars shows forget what that magical element is, what that spark is. And when they don't include that spark, people can tell. They might not be able to pinpoint it specifically, but they can tell that something's missing. When you've been a Star Wars fan as long as I have, I saw the movie in 77 when I was 7 years old.
Oh wow!
So I saw it in the theaters. So I always say if you cut me, I will bleed Star Wars.
There you go.
So, there are certain things that are missing from some of the newer Star Wars. And I know, nobody wants to get into this franchise and make a dud. As fans, we want Star Wars to succeed and be, amazing every time. And I know that's not realistic, but sometimes it's less than spectacular for whatever reason. But and I think too, I think fans also have a little bit of a responsibility to kind of chill the fuck out. We sometimes, some of us take ourselves too seriously, and I think we need to step back a little bit from that. But at the same time, we also have to make sure that, that we discuss certain concepts, certain issues that we may have with certain shows, series, movies, or projects, but do it in a way that is constructive. Don't go online and start burning Star Wars action figures because you don't like, The Last Jedi. So it's those kind of voices are giving the rest of the fans a bad name, because we're kind of, Scarif Podcast. We're right in the middle. Tell us what you think. We'll discuss it, and we'll go have a beer afterwards. It's not a big deal.
No, not at all. I got to tell you a secret. Jason Roy Gaston absolutely loves The Last Jedi. He's one of those that thinks
That is true.
Film.
Yes.
All right, you can come back on camera now.
You can come back now. Yeah, that's fine.
And of course, My Figure Universe is one of the people that loved The Last Jedi. I didn't. I thought it was a little.
You also don't like the Inner Light, so
I don't. It's
whatever.
I need a little bit of anyway.
Whatever.
We got you one of our mutual friends here.
Treasure Convo, Jesse. What's up, girl?
There you go.
She's great.
And then I'm proud to say, from My Figure Universe, I've seen every Star Wars film and track in theaters, and I do wish
you're old.
I know. Little gray there, right? Yeah.
Jason, have you seen any of those in theaters?
Have I seen any of the
Star Wars? The one.
Okay, out of the original trilogy, the only one that I saw in theaters was Return of the Jedi, and I was you heard me talking to our guest that I was hiding behind the theater seat because Jabba the Hutt was so scary. That's how young I was.
Yeah.
I think I was 7 or 8.
I have a friend in Jess. I am not a fan of the Inner Light, but I am okay with The Last Jedi. Okay, that's cool. I also not.
I'll allow it.
But see, here's the interesting thing.
You're not old. You're just experienced.
Right. But the interesting thing about fandom is how many different takes, there are. To me, it's just, my co-host and I, it's just very interesting to hear other people's takes on what they like, what they don't like, and why. Sometimes we compare notes. Sometimes we're like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. Didn't take a look at it this way. The Last Jedi is The Last Jedi. Like Jason said earlier about the episode we're talking about, it exists.
Yeah, for sure. It exists. What was your experience in watching ESB or ROTJ, Ro?
To me, so my Brad, my co-host, and I were prepping to do an episode on our top 5 most perfect movies. And we've developed a little list of what it is that makes them perfect. Is it the casting, story, acting, execution, cinematography, all those little things that make a movie a movie. But what is it about these movies that make something so perfect? For me, The Empire Strikes Back is up there as the perfect and probably the best Star Wars that has ever been put to celluloid. It was fantastic. I mean, seeing a Star Wars on the big screen, whether it's Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, or whatever, is always kind of cool. And, The Acolyte, the first 2 episodes were released in limited run in some theaters that fans got to see on the big screen, which was really cool. Here in Chicago, I went to go see it with a couple of friends, and it was nice. It was really nice to see a Star Wars on the big screen. I think Star Wars definitely belongs on the big screen. Star Wars on the small screen is probably not what I thought it would be, especially in the 90s when George Lucas was talking about it way back then, and experimenting with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and ILM was doing all sorts of wonderful special effects behind the scenes on the small screen with that series, just to kind of practice, really. Star Wars belongs on the big screen, and I think it's really great to be able to see, not only just Star Wars, but like science fiction, like really good science fiction that has a lot of a lot of depth, not only in character and story, but just, texture, music, acting, special effects, visuals on a huge screen. The bigger, the better. I'm always a proponent. If you can go see a movie in the theaters, go do it. I don't care how nice your home theater is. Go to a movie theater with other people, because it energizes you. Their energy, you energize each other, and you may be in a room full of strangers, but it's kind of one of the last communal, caveman thing that we do as humans. And I can't say enough about going to the movies.
I totally agree and wholeheartedly agree. There's no better experience than the movie theater experience. And one of the things I just found out this weekend when I had the children sick home with us is they had never gone to an IMAX theater. So now we're going to go see Superman in IMAX for sure.
Very nice.
That's going to be an incredible moment in space and time.
Mm-hmm.
We, of course, had another reason why we wanted you to be a part of this exciting moment on the future of the Captain's Quadrant, because as a Star Wars fan, you're going to really appreciate this interview. And that is one that we masterfully did with Mr. David Barclay, or Barclay, if you're of the English descent. David Barclay is the animatronic and puppeteer master for Jabba the Hutt, Eyes of Yoda, and so many wonderful animatronic creatures that he brings to life through his amazing wizardry and puppetry. He has a new book coming out that you guys can go and pre-order at coolwaterprods.com. And thanks to our friends at Cool Water Productions, we were able to get this amazing interview with the guy who is behind so many of our beloved childhood favorites. Jason and I had a blast talking with him, and that's going to come out Tuesday, January 21st. Yes, next Tuesday. You can see and hear this amazing interview wherever you listen to podcasts, and of course here on the Captain's Quadrant channel on our YouTube. It is amazing, and he is behind more than just Star Wars, even though he did a massive amount of stuff for Star Wars. And hearing his story of how he got into Star Wars is like, really? That's how it happened? And I got to say, it blew my socks off. And you guys are in for a treat next week.
Very nice.
He is.
I have to admit, at one point during the interview, I kind of realized that I was talking to basically 90% of my childhood. And I just kind of got overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, his credits include Dark Crystal, The Muppets, Labyrinth, Little Shop of Horrors, Fraggle Rock, and of course Star Wars. He was Jabba the Hutt, man. It was an incredible time, and I can't wait to you guys to see this interview. It is so cool. I got to tell you, there is one more thing that's going to be amazing this month, and that's the new Section 31 movie, and we're going to have Derek joining us. Derek Tyler Tecco will be joining us from the Sci-Fi Sisters new show called Soul the Story. It's a crazy storytelling podcast where the talented Derek Tyler Tecco, an award-winning author, invites fascinating folks from all walks of this life to spill the details of their soul-stirring stories. He will be joining us. It'll be the first time that we've had him on the Captain's Quadrant. It'll be a lot of fun. And we're going to talk about that big movie that just dropped, Section 31. And of course, our show, Section 31 and a half, will be out next week. So we have a lot going on for the rest of the month. And of course, Wormholes is going to be at the end of the month, where I have to suffer through Benji Zax and the Alien Prince.
Should have never let me pick. You should have known that was
fun. I know you're going to make it fun. That's the gist. We'll all have fun. Apparently, we're going to have some more chat here. I have never been to an IMAX theater either. We don't have them around here. Well, buddy, make yourself available. Come hang out with us in July. Come to New York City, and you can hang out with myself and my cousin, and we're gonna go see, the big
Superman.
We have an IMAX in the whole state. We just don't bother. Oh man,
you should bother.
You should bother. Yeah, I love stories like that for sure. All right, and she knows Derek, so Derek is going to be an awesome time. This is going to be an awesome month. We also have some other wonderful things dropping this year. We're going to get into that as the year progresses. Our next Agony booth is a wild one. And of course, when is the next time the Scarif Podcast is on the air? Let the folks know.
We have a final Skeleton Crew wrap-up review show with an all-star Red 5 Network panel. And we've got folks from all walks of life joining us, 7 o'clock on YouTube, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Yes, because I'm in Chicago. So join us at 7 o'clock. We'll be talking about our final discussion on Skeleton Crew. We're going to ask everybody really what they thought about the entire series, but we're also going to talk about that last episode and see what we all thought of it.
All right. Of course, you can always find us here at 9 p.m. on Fridays live, where Jason and I are going to get into a lot of wild fun. We're going to have Derek next week. We're going to have, we're definitely going to have you back, Damon, for sure. And we're going to have a lot of fun. Hopefully get Michael Chen back and a lot of other folks to be in the Agony booth with us. Yes, just tormenting you with some of the worst Trek ever.
You should get Damon on fast, because last year I was looking through my analytics, and when he was on our show, it was the one of our top rated and downloaded shows.
Nice. Awesome. Definitely will. We've had him on before. He was in one of our, he and Michael, both actors in the Star Trek universe. Michael Chen and he were in one of our favorite episodes of the Agony booth with the monstrous Moo. That is one to remember. Definitely would love that. Oh, we've gotten one of our never mind. We had somebody from Twitch, but apparently he was selling something, so we're not gonna put that back. All right. Well, I'm gonna plug again.
Bad person, and you should feel bad.
Yeah, so be sure to join us next week for section 31.5, because we have questions for Mr. David Barclay and his new book that's coming out. If you pre-order it today, you actually get a poster signed by him for one of his great works.
I ordered my book. You should order yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice. Very nice.
Indeed. And we've got one more comment. That's the scuttlebutt. I think that's a great way to end the show. Friends, we'll see you next week.